A lot of IT and cybersecurity students are told to learn skills that companies actually use, but they rarely tell them what skill to learn and where to learn these skills. Because of that, many beginners assume that they should start with ethical hacking. But the reality is that many IT and cybersecurity roles don't require hacking at all. Companies need people who understand the technology they use every day. In this video, you will learn how to host a Windows server on the cloud, promote that Windows server to a domain controller, install and configure Active Directory domain service, create organizational units and users, apply group policy objects, and even manage a client desktop wallpaper directly from the server. These are practical skills used in many IT environments, and they are much better starting points than jumping into ethical hacking. In this video, I'll walk you through the entire process. So let's jump into our AWS and set everything up.
Hello, welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to create an IT Windows server for the Ensign Student Success Center. I already had some instances running on my AWS console, but I've terminated them because I want to build everything from scratch. I'm going to launch an AWS Windows Server instance and configure it as a domain controller. I will perform some common Windows Server administration tasks, such as creating organizational units, users, groups, and group policies, and many other things. First, I'll create a new instance by clicking the Launch Instance. I will name the instance SSC_server. Next, I will select the Microsoft Windows Server 2025 base operating system and leave the default options as they are. Now I need to create a key pair. Since I don't have anyone already, I will create a new key pair. I will name it SSC_server key in the key pair name, so use underscore instead. Remember that the spaces are not allowed. After creating it, the key file will be downloaded automatically. We will need this file later to retrieve the administrator password and access the Windows server. So wherever your files are saved, make sure that you can locate it later. Next, I will move down to the remote desktop protocol settings. By default, I can allow RDP traffic from anywhere. Other options include allowing access only from my current IP address or specifying a custom IP range. Allowing RDP from anywhere gives more flexibility because I can connect to the server from different networks, such as my home Wi-Fi, school Wi-Fi, or workplace Wi-Fi. However, from a security standpoint, it is generally safer to restrict access to trusted IP addresses whenever possible. For this demonstration, I will leave it set to allow RDP from anywhere. For storage, I will keep the default, which is sufficient for this project. Now that everything has been configured, I will click Launch Instance. Take note, I am creating a new instance for the Ensign Student Success Center. Now let's quickly confirm that the instance has been created. AWS provides a quick way to connect to the instance, but I still want to go to the instance dashboard so that we can see it in the list. As you can see, here it is, SS_server. Notice that the instance state is running. This confirms that the new instance has been created successfully. Now it's time to configure the Windows server, which is our main objective. I will select the checkbox next to the SSC_server and click Connect. Take note that I want to connect through a Windows Remote Desktop, so I'm going to select the RDP Clients tab. From here, I will download the Remote Desktop file. At this point, I have two files. The first is the RDP file, which I will use to connect to the server, and the second is the key pair file that I will use to decrypt the administrator password. Now to obtain the password, I will click Get Password. This is where I will upload the private key file. I will drag the key file into the upload area and click Decrypt Password. AWS will then display the administrator password. I have copied the password, but I blur it in this video for security purpose. Now that I have the password, I will proceed to connect to the Windows server. I will open the downloaded RDP file, enter the password I just copied, and click Connect. A security warning may appear. The message may look slightly different depending on whether you are using a Windows or another operating system, but it's normal for security prompts. I will click Continue to proceed. The Windows server is now starting up, and in a few moments, the desktop environment should be ready for us to begin the configuration process. Now the Windows server is ready. The next step is to promote it to a domain controller, because without doing that, I won't be able to create the Ensign Student Success Center. To begin, I'm going to click Manage and select Add Roles and Features. I will click Next. For the installation type, I want role-based or feature-based installation, not remote desktop services installation. So I will leave the default option selected and click Next. Next, I will choose Select a server from the server pool. My server, More PC, is already selected, so I will click Next. Under Server Roles, I want Active Directory Domain Services, so I'll check the box. Take note of something important here. I didn't immediately see the tick mark. Instead, a new window appeared. This is normal. You need to click Add Features manually before the box will actually be checked. So if you encounter this, there is nothing wrong with your server. After clicking Add Features, the checkbox is selected. Since Active Directory Domain Services is required to promote this server to a domain controller, I will continue by clicking Next, Next, and Next. Yeah, Next for 3 times. I'm going to check the option Restart the destination server automatically if required. A warning message appears asking whether I want to allow automatic restarts. I'll click Yes. The server will reboot automatically without requiring additional confirmation. Now I'll click Install. The installation process has started. Now this may take a few seconds or a couple of minutes. To keep this video short, I will fast forward this section. The installation is now complete. There are 2 easy ways to promote the server to a domain controller. I can either click the link shown here, or I can click the notification flag in the upper right corner and select Promote this server to a domain controller. Both methods work perfectly. Under Deployment Configuration, there are 3 options, and I'm going to be explaining them so that you understand which one you are to select. The first option here is to add a domain controller to an existing domain. The second option here is to add a new domain to an existing forest. And the third option here is to add a new forest. Since we do not have an existing domain or forest, we need to choose Add a new forest. For the root domain name, I'm going to use this name. Next, I will enter a very strong password. This password must satisfy the domain password policy. If the password is too weak, you won't be able to proceed to the next step. So make sure that you choose a very strong password. I'm going to click Next. Since I am able to proceed to the next page, that means my password meets the domain password policy requirement. On this page, there is nothing I need to change, so I will just click Next. Windows Server automatically generates a domain name for us. This default name is perfectly fine, although you can change it. It's generally recommended to leave it as it is, so I'll click Next. These are the default locations where the database, log files, and other folders will be stored. You can leave these settings unchanged and click Next. You may see some warnings here. In most cases, these warnings are expected and do not prevent the installation from proceeding. As long as there are no errors, you can just go ahead and click Install. In a few minutes, this Windows server will be promoted to domain controller. Once the process is complete, the server will automatically restart and we will be able to create and manage our domain controller. Okay, now I'm going to quickly confirm the name of this computer. Earlier it was called More PC, and now I want to check whether it has been promoted to a domain controller. Since the server restarted, that already suggests that the promotion process likely completed, but I still want to verify the current status. And I can now see Ensign Success Administrator. This confirms that the Windows server has been successfully promoted to a domain controller. If it had not been promoted, it would still display the original name, which is More PC. Now that the domain controller is ready, I can begin setting up the basic Active Directory structure for the Ensign Student Success Center. The first thing I want to do is to create organizational units. To do this, go to Tools and select Active Directory Users and Computers. This is the easiest place to manage users, computers, and organizational units. I could also search for it directly using the Start menu, but I'll use the Server Manager for this setup. Inside Active Directory Users and Computers, I can see my domain, which is Ensign Success. This is where all my directory structures will be created. Before I start, I refer to my notes because as an IT administrator, It is very important to follow a clear plan to avoid misconfiguration. The structure I want to create this includes, the first one is the SSC_users OU. Now the SSC means the Student Success Center. Now inside it, I'm going to create sub OUs for managers and advisors. The second OU I'm going to create is going to be for SSC_computers, and inside it I'm going to create 2 sub OUs for managers PC and advisors PC. Then the third OU I'm going to create is the SSC_groups. Later I'm going to be adding security groups to it, but for now let's create this organizational unit. Now I'm going to right click my domain, go to new and select organizational unit. I will create the first OU and name it SSC_users. Next, I want to create sub-organizational units inside it. So instead of going back to the domain roots, I will just right click the SSC_users, go to new and select organizational unit again. Take note of that. When you are creating sub OUs, you don't go back to your main domain to right click. Rather, you right click the OU that you want to create the sub OU inside. Inside the SSC_users, I'm going to create 2 sub OUs, managers and advisors. This gives me a proper hierarchy where sub OUs are created inside the main OU instead of at the domain level. At this point, the basic OU structure for this Ensign Student Success Center has been successfully set up, and I'm ready to move on to the next part of the configuration. I have created for SSC_users. Now I'm going to repeat the same steps for other OUs. Now I have been able to create 3 organizational units and 4 organizational units. The next step is to create different users inside those sub-organizational units, advisors and managers. So these are the names. Like I said earlier, it is important to always have a note when it comes to things like this, so that you will not make mistakes. Under managers, I have John Smith. So I'm going to select it, right click it, go to new, and then click users. I'm going to enter the first name, John, and the last name, Smith. The username is going to be John Smith. Then I'll click next. I'm going to uncheck user must change password and next logon, and check password never expires. Then I'm going to set a strong password. Take note, if you set a weak password, it's not going to work. That's the domain controller password policy thing. Okay, I have finished creating the first user, John Smith. Now I'm going to create the second user, SSC_backup_admin. This account is going to be a backup administrator account. Just in case the primary administrator of this domain is unavailable, there will be another account to take charge. That's why I am creating a backup user account under the manager's sub-organizational unit. So I'm going to enter the name, backup admin. The login name is going to be something like this. Then I'll click next, uncheck this option, check password never expires, enter the password, and click finish. Now I have 2 users. Like I said earlier, the SSC_backup_admin account is not just going to be a normal user. It is going to be a second administrator account for this domain. Therefore, I need to add to it a particular group. This is how to do it. I'm going to open the account, double click it, click on member of, and then click add. Currently, it is a member of a domain user. I want to make it a member of domain admins. As you can see, we now have both domain users and domain admins. I just added it to the domain admins group. With this, the account has the permission to perform administrative tasks. So I'm going to click apply, and that is it. Now I have successfully created 2 users under the manager sub-organizational unit, one normal user and one administrator account. Now let's go ahead and create the users under the advisors sub-organizational unit. Under advisors, I'm going to be creating 5 users. For the first user, Mary Jones, I'm going to right click advisors, go to new and click users. I'm going to enter the first name, Mary, and the last name, Jones. The username is going to be Mary Jones. Then I'm going to uncheck user must change password at next logon. Check password never expires and enter a strong password and click next and then finish. I'm going to repeat the same steps for the second user, David Brown. Then I'm going to create the third user. Next, I'm going to create the fourth user, James Wilson. Finally, I'm going to create the fifth and last user, Linda Taylor. Now we have successfully created 7 user accounts. One is for John Smith, one is for the backup administrator, and the remaining 5 are for advisor accounts. So now we have created 7 users under the managers and advisor sub-organizational unit. Okay, now I have finished creating the users under the organizational unit. The next step is to create security groups for SSC_managers, SSC_advisors, and SSC_all staff. I want to create these security groups inside the SSC_organizational unit. I have my table here where I have all the groups and the users I want to add to each group. The first group I want to create is SSC_managers. As you can see, this is the SSC_organizational unit. I'm going to right click it, go to new, and then click group. I'm going to enter the name SSC_managers. As you can see, the group scope is set to global, which is fine. A global group allows us to group related users together and manage them collectively instead of individually. The group type is security, which means that permissions and access can be assigned to members of this group. We can allow or restrict access to certain resources based on group membership. So I'm going to click OK. Next, I'm going to create another group called SSC_advisors. I will follow the same steps. Right click, go to new, click group, type SSC_advisors, and click OK. Finally, I'm going to create the third group, SSC_all staff. I'm going to right click, go to new, click group, enter the name, and click OK. Now I have successfully created 3 security groups. The first member I'm going to add to the SSC_managers group is John Smith. I'm going to double click on SSC managers, click on members, and then click add. I'm going to type the name John Smith. This is it. I'm going to click apply and OK. So inside the SSC managers group, I now have one user, John Smith. Next, I'm going to configure the SSC advisors group. I'm going to double click it, go to members, and click add. I'm going to add all the advisor accounts, Mary, David, Emma, James, and Linda. Okay, now we have 5 users under the SSC advisors group. I'm going to click apply and OK. Finally, I'm going to configure the SSC all staff group. I'm going to double click it, go to members. Under the security group, I'm going to add all the users: John Smith, Mary, David, Emma, James, and Linda. Okay, now I have all the 6 users under the SSC all staff security group. I'm going to click apply and OK. What we've just done is group all the staff members into a single security group. This means that instead of assigning permissions to each user individually, we can simply assign permissions to the SSC all staff group, and every member of the group will automatically inherit those permissions. This makes administration easier, improve consistency, and reduce the chances of making mistakes when managing access to shared resources. Now I'm going to create folders and text files, and then I'm going to configure the permissions. The permissions are not going to be for everyone. Instead, they will be assigned to specific security groups. This means that only users who have been granted permission will be able to access those folders. Users who are not granted permission will not be able to access them. To do that, I'm going to open File Explorer. This is where folders and files are created. I'm going to go to this PC, open the C drive, right-click, go to New, and click Folder. On the right side, I have a table showing folders and files I want to create. The first 2 folders are Advising Documents and Admin Report. Inside the Advising Documents folder, I'm going to create a text file called Final Advising. Inside the Admin Reports folder, I'm going to create another text file called Final Admin Reports. So I'm going to rename the first folder to Advising Documents. Then I'm going to open it. Right-click inside the folder, go to New, and click Text Documents. I'm going to rename the file to Final Advising. File Explorer will automatically add the .txt extension for us. Now I have finished creating the Advising Document folder and the Final Advising text file inside it. I'm going to repeat the same steps for the Admin Report folder. I'm going to create the folder, open it, right-click inside, go to New, click Text Document, and rename the file to Final Admin Reports. Okay, now I have successfully created 2 folders and 2 text files. The next step is to share the folders and assign the appropriate permissions. For the Advising Documents folder, access will not be granted to everyone. Instead, access will be granted to only the SSC All Staff Security Group. For the Admin Report folder, access will be granted only to the SSC Manager Security Group. To do that, I'm going to right-click the Advising Documents folder, go to Properties, select Sharing, click Advanced Sharing, check Share this folder, and then click Permissions. I'm going to remove the Everyone group and add the SSC All Staff Security Group. I'm going to grant both read and change permission. With these permissions, members of the SSC All Staff Security Group can open, read, and modify the files in this shared folder, but they do not have full control. I'm going to click Apply, click OK, and then close the window. Next, I'm going to do the same thing for the Admin Reports folder. I'm going to remove the Everyone group and add SSC Manager Security Group. I'm going to grant read and change permissions. Click Apply, then click OK. What we've just done is implement group-based access control. Instead of assigning permissions to individual users one by one, we assign permissions to security groups. As a result, every member of the appropriate group automatically receives access to the shared resources, making administration easier, more secure, and easier to manage. So now I have successfully created the folders and files, and I have configured the shared permission so that only specific groups of users can have access to the appropriate folders. The next part of this video is where I'll be setting up group policy, the desktop background policy. First, I need to configure the wallpaper location in the File Explorer. I have already done that. Under this PC, the Windows C drive, I created a folder named Wallpaper. Inside the Wallpaper folder, I added an image named Ensign. This image is the Ensign College logo, and it's the image I want to use as a desktop background for this computer. After adding the image, I completed the file sharing part. I shared the folder with everyone, and this is the shared part that I will be using later to access the folder. I will copy this shared part because I need it when configuring the wallpaper policy. Now that I am done with that part, this time we are not working with Active Directory users and computers. Instead, we are going to a different tool called Group Policy Management, but still inside the Active Directory domain controller. To open Group Policy Management, I'm going to click Tools and then open Group Policy Management. I'm going to expand Forest, expand Domains, and then expand the Ensign Success domain. This is where I'm going to create the group policy. I'm going to right-click the group policy object, click New, and name it SSC Desktop Policy. I have now created a new group policy object named SSC Desktop Policy, which will be used to enforce the desktop background settings. The next step is to link this policy to SSC computers. To do that, I'm going to right-click SSC computers and select Link an existing GPO. Then I'll select SSC Desktop Policy, which is the policy I just created. Now I am linking this group policy to SSC computers. This means that the settings configured in this policy will apply to all the staff computers. Take note that whatever settings we configure in SSC Desktop Policy will affect the computers in the SSC Computers organizational unit. I know for beginners this might be complicated, but just take your time to study them. If you are wondering where the SSC computers came from, remember that earlier we created several organizational units inside the Active Directory users and computers. That is where the SSC Computers organizational unit came from. Now that the policy has been linked, I'm going to go back to configure SSC Desktop Policy so that whatever settings I configure there will affect the computers in the SSC Computers organizational unit. To do that, I'm going to right-click SSC Desktop Policy and click Edit. I will now configure the settings inside the group policy objects. Take note that we have both computer configuration and user configuration. For this policy, I want user configuration, not computer configuration. Under user configuration, I'm going to expand policies, then administrative templates, and then double-click desktop. Next, I'm going to open desktop wallpaper and double-click it. I'm going to click enabled, and this is where I will paste the shared part that I copied earlier. After that, I'm going to change the wallpaper style to fill so that the image fits properly and looks good. Finally, I'm going to click apply and then OK to save the settings. It is always important to click apply and OK. If not, the settings will not be saved. Now, after setting up everything, I want to quickly confirm that the group policy I configured is actually working as expected. To do that, I will open my command prompt and run this command to force a group policy update. This ensures that all the policies I configured are immediately applied to the system. Once I run it, you can see that both the computer policy updates and the user policy updates complete successfully. Next, I will sign out and test it on one of the user accounts. I'm going to log in as Mary Jones, one of the users I created earlier. After logging in, I can already see the results. The wallpaper has changed successfully. This confirms that the group policy has been applied correctly to the user account. So far in this setup, I started by creating a Windows server using AWS. After that, I promoted the server to a domain controller and enabled Active Directory domain services. From there, I created organizational units, added users, and organized them into security groups. I also configured a group policy that changes the desktop wallpaper for users in a specific security group. This is a core cybersecurity skill that every beginner should have. There are many more things to learn in Active Directory than just changing the desktop wallpaper. We've only scratched the surface. There are many more administrative tasks, organizational features. I'm sure you don't want to miss any of those videos. So be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notification so you'll know when the next tutorial is out. Thanks for watching Tech with More. I'll see you in the next one.